A pleasure to meet y'all at last, and here we are at it again with some more material for super foam flying. And I really gotta say, things certainly are looking up when it comes to Nerf, and I found a lot of material worth talking about when it comes to Nerf, and I'm especially glad to talk a bit about the Dino Squad series, as since it was first established in 2021, we've seen a lot of things out there that Nerf could possibly do with creating some of the funkiest designs possible. And I'd say aesthetics seem to be one factor over performance that they do most of the time nowadays. They used to be a leading piece of engineering. So today, let's go ahead and talk about one fine example that sets aesthetics above performance. Not to mention price. Because, believe it or not, the Armorstrike is certainly a blaster that does set a lot of expectations. Very high expectations. Because first of all, it's basically an Ankylosaurus turned into a dart blaster. It's able to fling foam really nicely with this cylinder that it has. You could fit 8 darts in it in total, and there's also space for another 8 that you can store within the club tail stock. And when talking about the stock, yeah, yet another one of those cases where it's way too short for someone my stature. It's more of a personal complaint to some people, but that's only because it's true. I really do like a good handful of things out there. I also do like how its ergonomics are pretty well put down. I would kind of wish though that this grip handle on the front, which actually is the priming mechanism, I kind of wish that the grip were a little more enlarged so it would fit my hand a little better. Yeah, not really the best you can do, but there's other ways to hold on to it, and yeah, I feel like that with this position, it seems to be a little better, but overall, performance is somewhat mediocre, especially if you've seen Distance Gauge Part 2 a couple years ago in 2023. Not to mention the fact that, well, there is no slam fire. Yeah, it doesn't fire in any ways like a Raider or any of those other blasters, so it's just all about pump, fire, yeah, and repeat, pretty much. So the thing is that the Armorstrike does seem to not really be a good method of improving the Dino Squad series even further, but Dino Squad sure did start off well in 2022 with the Raptor Slash, and then this comes along with a handful of problems. So apart from it having too small of a stock or hand grip for priming mechanism purposes, not to mention somewhat mediocre displays, including a cylinder that can hold 8 darts, performance that probably is underwhelming to some, and the biggest flaw of all that I see here, fatal one, is the price tag. You could be paying at least $40 for one of these, brand new. I myself was able to get one thanks to a good deal at Target, paying only $30 for this, but the thing is, that's a high price for a blaster that can pretty much perform and function in the same way as a good handful of other blasters out there, which are even cheaper. Well, I guess the whole thing about it is that I clearly have no clue why they decide to put a price sticker on this thing that is that high. Especially when there are blasters out there that are even cheaper and perform very similarly, and plenty of other things that are just an advantage way above this one's league. Like, take a look at the Technician, for example. I hate to admit it, but there's actually a good handful of 2021 blasters out there that actually do even better than 2022 ones. And if I could somehow refer to such a horrible year like 2021 having good things about it, as opposed to 2022, which was a huge improvement, then you know that we have problems. Lots of them. So the thing is, the Technician has capacity for only 2 darts, but yet its function is much better. It is a lot cheaper because it came in a 3 blaster gift set that sold for less than $20. So you could buy 3 blasters in one custom bundle that Nerf decided to sell out as a surprise to all of us in December 2021, as opposed to something like this. Oh, darn, it went onto the floor. But anyways, as opposed to something like this that sells for $40, twice that price. I mean, what kind of logic is that? What were they thinking? My gosh. $40 wasted at this point. Mediocre performance, typical function and capacity, and a lot of other underwhelming things out there. The color scheme, theming, and whatnot seem to help make up for this. Ergonomics would have been the best if it weren't for that small hand grip up in the front that doubles as the priming mechanism, much like with what the Raider and Rampage had done. And not to mention, as I've said, a Technician works better as a blaster like that, and it performs much better than you'd expect. This so-called Elite 2.0 line started off at a pretty questionable level, but actually got even better as time went on. Dino Squad pretty much had the same sort of vibe to it, where it did not do that good, as opposed to a good number of blasters that we had seen so far. Theming was a thing that Nerf focused on with that line, well above such basic tactics like performance, ergonomics, and functional pricing. You expect a good price tag to be put on a blaster that could be as small as your own fingertip or as ginormous as a truck. So that apparently just didn't seem to work out very well. So at this point, I feel like that's the last time I'll ever have the Technician in my own hands, but that's just it. Armorstrike is a solid 5 out of 10. Plenty of room for improvement. Dino Squad just hasn't really been measuring up all too well in recent years either, so do expect some more reviews like this to take place. Because I have a lot to say about Dino Squad, especially with the rest of 2022 and onwards up until today. But make sure that if you'd like to see more on the channel, like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.